Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Caregiving Solutions Info. I'm Marcia Teele, your host. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so glad that you did. This program is for you, the family, the unpaid family caregiver. If you're caring for someone with Alzheimer's or some other related dementia, then this show was created just for you to learn about caregiving, to help you along the journey, because it is a journey. And we want to give you lots and lots of options, some good professional advice, some ideas that might help you have a little bit better day and have your loved one have a little bit better day along the way. So thank you for joining us. Today is Tuesday, September 29th, 2015. And we have a great show planned for you today. We're going to be talking about veterans benefits, especially aid and attendance. So you won't want to miss that. Get a pen and pencil ready because you're going to want to take some notes. But first, we always have a little bit of brain boosters. Now, what is brain boosters? Brain boosters, some tips, a little bit of information where we're going to learn how to not only improve our memory a little bit, but hopefully retain the memory that we have. We all want to do what we can to keep our memory sharp and focused. So every week we're giving you a little tip. So today's tip is mix it up. And what do I mean by mix it up? Well, research has shown that people that do different things, not the ordinary day-to-day that they've done over and over and over again for years and years, the people that mix it up have better retention of memory. They are stimulating their brains better. And so how do you mix it up? What would be examples of mix it up? If you're right-handed, for example, and you are brushing your teeth right-handedly, mix it up. Try your left hand. Try eating with your left hand if you're right-handed. Try shaving. Try brushing your hair. Do something different. You know, we all have that muscle memory that tells us what we do because the muscle knows for all of our lives we've done the same thing over and over and over again, and it's so automatic. Well, we don't want to be automatic. We want to mix things up to charge our brain. We want to give our brain something more to work on than the ordinary day after day after day. And this is going to help fire those neurons and help keep our brain sharper. So, what are some of the other things you can do to mix it up? One thing that I think is important is not doing the same thing every day. So if you like to go out to dinner, for instance, and you have your favorite restaurants, why don't you mix it up and try something completely different? Try some other restaurant that has some exciting different foods that you've never tried before, and you'll be tasting and seeing, and all of these senses are going in to create little stimuli in your brain. Like, wow, what is this? Never seen this before, never tasted this before. It's all new for your brain, and that's a good thing. And then if you like to have dinner out with friends, you probably have friends that you've known for years, and you kind of know what the other one is going to say, and you can almost complete their sentences. Something else you can do to mix it up is invite some new friends out to dinner. Have some unique conversations. Talk about things you've never talked about before, because now you're combining a new experience with your social part of it, which is also very good for your brain. Something else that you can do, travel to new places. Going to new places, exciting, it's challenging, creating the plan, the travel plan. Even if you don't have the money to maybe go to an exotic land, why don't you just try getting to a familiar place by a different route? So if you're used to going across town to your daughter's house, why don't you mix it up and just take another route and see where it leads you, or try a different way? Because even that is going to alert your senses. We want to alert our senses, and we're going to be looking for new signs and different traffic patterns and all of this different stimuli. Stimuli is good for our brain. So try to do that. Make your brain work harder to achieve the same results. And we don't be so automated all the time. Live in the moment, mix it up, challenge your brain, have fun, and see where it takes you. And so that's our Brain Boosters tip for the day. And I will be back next week with a different Brain Boosters tip. So in the meantime, challenge yourself. Do some of these things and see how it feels. It'll be a little awkward at first, but try that. Being awkward is good, because that means you need to work on that and get that brain going. So stay tuned for just a few minutes. We will be back after our first commercial break, and we're going to be talking about veterans benefits. So stay tuned. See you in a minute.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live, it's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help, because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare-covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a Senior Home Companion can help you.
You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Hi, and welcome back to CareGiver Solutions Info. I want to thank our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care Community, for making this show possible. And Arden Courts is one of the best leaders in the field of assisted living for people with memory issues, including Alzheimer's and other dementia. There are probably over 50 Arden Courts across the United States, hopefully one near you. Arden Courts would like to offer you, the caregiver, a free day of respite. What does that mean? That means you can take a break. Your loved one can have fun. And so if you're looking to have a little bit of time for yourself, call the Arden Court's 800 number, which is 888-478-2410, and tell them you heard about a free respite stay for one whole day or a half a day, whatever you want, at an Arden Courts near you. Your loved one can go and be in a safe, secure surrounding with their friends and have activities and have a little fun, because believe it or not, they need a break from you as much as you need a break from them sometimes. And then you as a caregiver, take that break, take that respite, do something good for yourself. Arden Courts would also like to give you this book. It's called Staying Afloat in a Sea of Forgetfulness. It was written by Gary LeBlanc. He is a son. His father had Alzheimer's, and he cared for his dad for many years. He wrote a book because he felt that he could contribute to other adult children dealing with the same issues. He gives great advice, lots of tips on caregiving, a lot of good information about how to take care of yourself as the caregiver. And so if you'd like to have this free book, Arden Courts would love to send it to you. All you have to do is call that 800 number, tell them that you would like to have the book mailed to you, and they'll be very happy to do that. So don't forget that. Now, today we're going to be talking about veterans benefits. There are lots of benefits out there for our veterans. We love our veterans. We're so happy that they serve. We honor them. We want to provide for their care. And the thing about it is not everybody knows about all the benefits that are due to our veterans. And so we want to highlight that on today's show. Now, medical care. You know, veterans can go to the VA hospitals, to outpatient clinics, and they can get medical care. There's also burial benefits for veterans and their spouses. That's something that you want to look into before you need it, not only for veterans, but in general. So just a little sidebar here. Make sure that you have funeral arrangements pre-planned. We're going to be talking about that on a later show. But that is something, too, that is great for our veterans. In the state of Florida, there are different veterans nursing homes, and there's one assisted living for veterans. But we're going to focus today on something called aid and attendance. Now, you may or may not have heard about that before, but if you haven't, you want to get a piece of paper and a pencil, and we're going to be talking about aid and attendance and what that all means. And here to help us to navigate through all of this, we have in our studio from the Elder Law Department, Heidi Friedman, who is an elder law attorney, and with her is Paul Solomon, who is the benefits specialist at the Elder Law Department. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad you're here because, you know, there's so much out there that people don't understand, maybe they don't even know about. So we want to bring this to their attention and highlight this very, very important, because a lot of people that are dealing with dementia, Alzheimer's, and if their loved one is a veteran, you know, they have so much on their plate already. And sometimes it's overwhelming and sometimes it's confusing with what they could get, might get, don't know. They hear conflicting information from different people. And it seems like it's confusing for them. And I wondered if you might want to expound on why it might be confusing and help us understand exactly what aid and attendance means.
Well, there's a lot of information out there that people look, they start online, they ask a lot of people questions, they go into either, you know, they speak to home care agencies, they speak to independent assisted livings, and there's a lot of information that's not followed through. Meaning that they start with one part of what VA or what should be VA benefits, and it ends up not really finishing the thought where, well, what about income? What about their assets? What about their health? And again, if you go online, it doesn't really give you the full picture like you can get if you speak to somebody that understands the benefits completely.
So it's not like a black and white answer is what you're saying.
No, it's definitely not a black and white answer. Every family is different when we walk into every family situation, depending upon who's doing the caregiving. Are they at home? Are they in independent living? Are they in assisted living? That matters. Their income matters. Where their income is coming from matters. Where their assets, how they're situated, their assets. It all comes into play.
So no wonder it's confusing. And also, just because somebody is a veteran, does that mean they're automatically entitled to all the benefits? And are they automatically entitled to aid and attendance just because they're a veteran? Or is it something that they do have to qualify for?
No, actually, they do have to qualify. First of all, they have to be a wartime veteran. There is also some confusion about that as well. Many people will call me and say, yes, but my husband didn't serve overseas. So that does not necessarily mean that he doesn't qualify. So there are specific war times that the federal government has put out. If the veteran falls within those dates, then they're considered a wartime veteran. They have to have served at least one day during those time periods, a total of 90 days. They have to have been discharged any way other than dishonorably. And then they also have to need the care. I mean, veterans benefits, unlike Medicaid or some other benefits, is very doctor driven. So there is a doctor form that has to be completed. They have to need some kind of care either at home, in the independent or the assisted. Then on top of it, once they meet those qualifications, things that we can't help them with, obviously, then you're talking about their financial requirements.
Okay, so going back to qualifying, you mentioned they have to, if they're a veteran, they had to serve in some branch of the armed forces.
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it was Army, Navy, Air Force.
No.
Or Marines.
Or Marines, okay. And if they had to serve during wartime, but they didn't have to fight in a war.
They can still qualify. Again, as long as they were in the service during the time periods.
So I have a lot of families that come to me and they say, well, I don't think my husband will qualify because, yes, he was in the service during that time period, but he worked in an office and he didn't actually fire a gun.
And we come across that a lot because that's a good question. And there's certain dates that the government has put out to say, okay, World War II was specific with these dates. World War I was 1917 to 1921. World War II was 1941 to 1946. The Korean conflict, or war, as the seniors like to call it, 1950 to 1955. Vietnam, we're just getting into people that were in Vietnam, and that depends if they were in country in Vietnam or if they were in the States. There are different dates that are set up for that.
So that makes a difference, too, whether they were in the United States during that or
Just for Vietnam,
just
correct.
for Vietnam. Because, the Vietnam vets now, they're getting to the age, too. They're getting older, and we're starting to see some memory problems and some Alzheimer's diagnosis with people that were in the war, especially the Vietnam War. So that's important for them to know, too, to check that out.
Absolutely.
Wow. So we kind of know the first part, right, which is more like that part is black and white, right? You have to be in war. These are the dates. These are the different wars and that. Once they do that, then there's the other part of it. But we're talking about aid and attendance. So after we talked about what the dates are, so someone says, okay, I qualify for that. What are they looking actually to get? Explain what aid and attendance is. What does it provide for somebody?
Aid and attendance is an enhanced pension benefit. Basically, any veteran over the age of 65 is actually considered disabled under the VA. So automatically. If you're over 65, you're considered disabled. And this is something that also gets a little bit confusing. So if I have a veteran who's over 65, they automatically qualify for the basic pension that they're entitled to get. What the aid and attendance is an enhancement over that. It's dollar amount over that. So whether they themselves are sick or even if they're not sick but they're taking care of a sick spouse, they can then get an additional dollar amount over the basic. And the dollar amount does depend on whether it's a single veteran, a veteran with a dependent, which is a spouse, a veteran taking care of their spouse or a surviving spouse.
Now, is this 8 and 10, is this money that the government gives? Can it be used for anything, or what does it have to be used specifically for?
It can be used for anything that the veteran needs. It's a tax-free dollar that comes direct deposited into the veteran's bank account or the surviving spouse's bank account that can literally be used for anything.
Anything that they need at all?
Anything they need at all.
One thing also, it's that it's a reimbursement. So really what the VA, what they're looking for is somebody spending the money out, and then they're going to pay it back up to the limits of which they have. For a single veteran, it's up to $1,788 a month, tax-free. Surviving spouses, which we come across the most, is $1,149 a month. If there's a couple involved, if it's the veteran and the wife, they're still both of them are alive, it's up to $2,120 a month.
So this money that they get every month, direct deposit, is what you're saying, they don't have to use it for assisted living?
No, they don't have to use it for assisted living, but let's just take a step back.
Okay.
Understand there are, again, like we said, financial requirements under the aid and attendance. One of those requirements is whether or not they qualify under the income test.
Okay, now we're going to get to the other part for
Right.
qualification.
And this kind of backs up into the actual benefit. So the way that it works is if you have income coming in, that's not what the VA looks at. They don't simply look at, okay, you have this income, whether it's Social Security, pensions, required minimum distributions. What they then look at is they take your unreimbursed medical expenses. What are you paying out of pocket that nobody's reimbursing you for? Whether it's paying for an assisted living facility, paying for a family member who's caring for you, paying out of pocket for an aid.
Lots of expensive drugs, maybe.
I was going to say drugs, prescriptions, supplemental insurance, doctor co-pays, over-the-counter drugs, things that you're paying for. They take that amount, and they have to be reoccurring. So it can't be, okay, this month I buy aspirins, but next month I don't. So they're unreimbursed, reoccurring medical expenses that are then subtracted from your income to come out with what the VA calls IVAP, income for VA purposes. And if that dollar amount is zero or negative, which is usually what it is, then the VA will pay up to the total amount of the pension that you're entitled to get. Once that pension goes into your bank account, then yes, you can use it for anything that you need, because it's to be used to help you better your life.
So this could get very confusing for people, because if they don't know how to do the formula, because it sounds like it is a special formula that has to be calculated to see if they can apply, they might not think that they are actually eligible for this. And I think that there's a lot of money left on the table that the VA could be giving to people if they only realize that they could possibly qualify.
There's a lot of people that think they have too much income. And again, it's not about the income, it's about the medical expenses. So we see people all the time that were denied benefits because they applied either through themselves, through family members, wherever, and they didn't have medical expenses, but they put down their income, so they didn't qualify. So that we see right away, and we know how to fix that. Now talk to us about what kind of medical expenses you have. That's a big issue.
Because they didn't realize that to include those things.
Correct. Somebody didn't tell them. They think they could go online, pull the documents off from online, and then start filling them out. And yes, most of the people can just fill out that paperwork, but then it becomes this endless correspondence back and forth with the VA that we need more information. And then they keep documenting it wrong or not on the right form, and then it keeps dragging on and on and on, and it could take a year, 2 or 3, or never hear from the VA because it's not done correctly.
Or it gets lost in the shuffle, or it gets the paperwork, it gets in that virtual
black
hole file cabinet somewhere, and it can get so overwhelming and so frustrating. I bet a lot of people would just give up.
A lot of people do. And one other thing that we also do, there are many family members that help take care of their elderly parents or grandparents. And what they don't understand is they are actually providing caregiving to them. And it's what we can do for them. So if somebody doesn't have those medical expenses, but they do have a loved one caring for them, we can actually document by putting into place a caregiver agreement between the two, so that now the loved one actually is paying somebody to provide that care. Because if it wasn't for their child or their grandchild providing that care, they actually would have to hire an aide or hire somebody to come and do that. In the state of Florida, no obligation for family members to take care of each other, so we can do a real contract and then document those caregiver expenses.
Right, because I think a lot of people feel uncomfortable hiring someone
Right.
that's from the outside, especially when they have Alzheimer's or dementia. They kind of want to keep it within the family, so to speak, and they feel uncomfortable because nobody can take care of my dad or my grandpa the way I can.
Right.
Because we know him, we know who he is, and we know his life. And, you know, to sometimes it's really hard to hand over that care for someone at home when you feel that you're the best person to do that.
Right. And also understand they don't have to have a license. They don't have to be a caregiver with a license. It's pretty much what they're doing anyway, that they are providing care. Whether they think that just going and visiting grandpa or dad is considered care, it actually is considered care. And they can get paid for it and create those unreimbursed medical expenses so that then dad can qualify for the aid and attendance.
Wow, that's really interesting. I bet you have stories about people that you've really seen that were in a situation where maybe they, like Paul said, they applied, they got rejected. And even though someone got rejected, you're able to, like you said, quote unquote, fix that. Mm-hmm. So they're not excluded from trying to get it again if they got denied the first time. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, a lot of times we'll get the phone call that they got a denial letter, or we'll be at a meeting in front of a group of people and they'll say they were denied at one time or another. Depending upon the timing, depending upon when they get to us or hear us speak, there's a time frame of which we can help them go back, whether 6 months, go back a year, and possibly get those benefits, again, if everything is put into the right forms, right letters that we send back to the VA explaining exactly what happened or what went wrong or misplaced. And that happens, that's a lot of the work that we do also.
Right. And speaking of that, I know there are some important documents that someone would need to produce in order to apply for this aid and attendance benefit. One of them would be the discharge papers.
Right.
And,
or also called the DD-214.
Okay, DD-214.
Right.
Okay. And a lot of times families don't have these documents all in one place, or they're in a trunk in the attic someplace, because when someone gets discharged, maybe they're, in their 20s and now they're in their 80s. And so for 60 years, these documents have been kind of hidden away, and they need to have these. And I've had instances where families have not been able to produce them. Maybe they were thrown out by accident. Maybe there was a fire. What happens if a family member doesn't have a document? How hard is that now? I guess it's possible, but what do you do?
There's a company that we deal with from the Midwest that is a national company of the archives of the government, of which if we get basic information, Social Security, birth dates, place of birth, possibly where they've entered the military, meaning city, and possibly dates, we then submit this to the National Archives and get a response from them. Most of the time we're lucky. There is a couple times where we got back that there's no record. And yes, there was a flood and fire years ago, but there is documentation that we
You mean in
receive.
the archives there was a flood and
Correct.
fire? Wow.
Correct. So, but they do send us a certified copy, which the VA is looking for, that we can produce to them.
So there is a way, at least to try.
Yeah,
get
we
these-
try for everybody.
Okay, that's really good to know. Wow.
Although, Marcia, you'd be surprised at how many people really do have those documents
Yeah, it's
from
crazy.
so many years ago. And what I find amazing sometimes when I'm sitting with the veterans, they might not remember their Social Security number or their date of birth or even their date of marriage, but they remember their serial numbers. Whatever it's incredible to me that they'll remember. I don't know if it's just like it was just, burned into their brain or what, but it is amazing how much they do
And they're
remember
very
and how much
proud
they
of
keep.
that too. They're proud
Very.
that they served, and they want
It's
to rattle that off.
It is. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Or dog tags. I mean, it's amazing how many people souvenir, whatever passed on, are dog tags. There has a serial number on it. That's huge for us because that's something that we can use.
There you go. Good information.
Yeah.
We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be right back with Paul and Heidi and learning more about veterans benefits and the aid in attendance specifically. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart.
Hi, this is Marcia Teele of CareGiver Solutions Info. I'd like to tell you about Senior Home Companions. They provide care in the home for seniors by active seniors. The caregivers are mature men and women who understand the needs of seniors. Caregivers are individually matched to each client, creating a bond and a high level of comfort. A nurse registry, Senior Home Companions have been assisting seniors in Palm Beach County for 17 years. For a complimentary assessment, call Gloria at 561-347-6676 to see how a Senior Home Companion can help you.
Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Hi, welcome back to Caregiver Solutions. I'm here with Paul Solomon and Heidi Friedman of the Elder Law Department, and we're talking about aid in attendance, a veterans benefit for veterans, how people qualify, what they need to know. And so thank you again, Heidi and Paul, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, okay, now we've talked about qualifying, we've talked about the medical qualification, we talked about the other information that people need as far as income, and they fill out these forms, but they have to be very careful about it, right? Because you said that a lot of times people don't know what to put on the form. Sometimes they might leave something blank, or they might not include everything they need to be included, and then they're going to get rejected. So I just want to talk about how people should go about applying for these benefits to assure them they're going to get what they need in a timely fashion. So it's true that someone could do it by themselves. We kind of already talked about that, and kind of goes into a black hole because you're back and forth with the Veterans Administration, and it's all a bunch of probably legalese and gobbledygook that you might not understand, but you know, it's hard and it's frustrating, so it's very time consuming if you're not well versed on exactly how to fill out these forms.
Correct. What I've seen with a lot of families that try and either do it themselves, they go online. Yes, you can pull up certain forms or the actual application online, but there's 3 different applications, so you have to pick the right application for it.
Why are there 3 different applications?
There's one if it's the surviving spouse, it's one if it's the actual veteran, and then there's other benefits also in there, so they're kind of lumped together, so you have to know which application to pull. It's a 4-page application. Usually when we submit our application to the VA, it's probably about 15 to 16 pages, of which nothing's bundled online. So it's not, you have to either guess, or what happens is you send the first 4 pages in, then you're going to get a letter from the VA to say, okay, we need more information. What about the medical expenses? Who's really taking care of mom or dad?
Right. And
I was just going to interrupt a little bit, not interrupt you, but add on to that. Under the VA, there are 2 tracks. There's the fully compensated track, or what they say is the fast track, and then there's the slower track.
why wouldn't everybody want the fast track?
Everybody does want the fast track. However, if you miss one document, or you don't fill in one part of the application, they immediately take you off the fast track and put you on the slow track.
Uh-oh.
So that's why it's so important. And what people don't know is that the VA will not accept or will not take an application that just has something blank. Every single question, whether it applies to you or not, has to be filled in or completed, either with an NA or a 0 or whatnot. So
They can't assume that it's 0.
They
right,
don't.
they
They
won't.
won't. They won't.
They won't.
And they won't assume that you left it blank on
Right.
purpose.
So, and then in addition to what Paul was saying, in addition to the application, there are other forms that have to go along with applying for the VA. That's where it becomes confusing. What form do I use to include with my application? So you might have that 4-page application. You might complete it. You might be able to answer every single question and, hey, look, I've done this.
Right.
I'm going on the fast track.
Right.
But what you forgot is that there are 3 or 4 different forms that have to go along with applying. If you don't have them, you're going on the slow track. We were just in a meeting where a woman was, we were talking about VA benefits, and we're seeing benefits approvals within 3 to 6 months right now. This woman has been waiting for her aunt for over 2 years.
Wow. That's
2
a long time.
years.
Yeah.
And you know what her
Yeah.
response to us was? The VA's just waiting for her to die.
Aw,
And the unfortunate,
that's not true.
It's not true. The unfortunate reality is they applied, their family applied. They probably didn't complete it the way the VA wants it. They're very strict on how they want their applications and their forms done. And if you didn't do it the right way, you're right. It's going to go on that slow track, and it can take 2 years, 3 years.
Right. Also, I know that the Veterans Administration themselves have satellite offices where people can go, make an appointment, or just walk in. I know around here sometimes they have them at the libraries on certain days. And people can go there and get help from a representative from the VA. And I also know that you can get help from lots of other places. But there's a new rule a few years ago. I think it was in 2008. The VA said that anyone helping complete an application for VA benefits must be accredited through the VA. So what is accredited through the VA? What does that mean?
Well, I can tell you for an attorney, on an attorney perspective, is that I had to complete an application. I had to be approved. I had to show that I was in good standing with my bar. I had to have some references, and then I waited. I mean, they did a background research on me, and I don't know whether they checked my references or not. They definitely checked to make sure I was in good standing with the bar, and from that, I became accredited.
Accredited means you've been signed, sealed, and approved with the stamp of approval
Yes.
from the VA to help people with their applications.
Absolutely.
So what that means is someone shouldn't just go to someone says, oh, I can help you with that because I know what to do. And if they haven't been accredited, then that's actually illegal, isn't it?
Yes, and they won't be able to file that application.
Okay, so you have to be careful of, who's helping, where you're going for your information and going for your help. So you can obviously do it yourself. You don't have to be accredited to do it yourself, but you want to be sure that you're getting the help from an accredited person, and that is very, very important.
And there is, just to let you know, if you go on the VA website, there is a list of accredited individuals and attorneys that can help you.
Yes, and I wanted to give that website address right now. It's www.benefits, with an S, benefits.va.gov. So it's benefits.va.gov. And you can go onto that website and see all the benefits that are available for the veterans, not just aid and attendance, but many, 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 many more. So look at that, and you might be surprised of everything that is available. So if someone's accredited and they can go ahead and get this filled out. Why would somebody might somebody need something other than an accredited person to fill out? Like, you're an elder law attorney, you are accredited. Why would someone might want to come to you as opposed to just going to a representative from the VA who's just going to help them fill out the form? Is there pros and cons with that?
Well, there's a difference. If you're going to a local VA office or a local representative, and even a financial advisor, there are financial advisors out there that actually are accredited.
Okay, that's good to know.
But depending upon how the application, again, is filled out, what we hear, again, from the public is that they were told they can't qualify because they have too much money in either income or assets, and that person looks at their income or assets and says, oh, you won't qualify, you need to be below this number, and they won't fill out the application. But again, going to an accredited person, they can take a look at all the information that's handed to them financially, and there is planning that can be done, all by the rules and regulations of the VA, to qualify somebody. But some of these local offices, they're not financial planners.
Right, and they're not paid to plan for your future. They're just there to take the information, fill in the blanks, and not to ask questions about what your plans for the future might be and things like that, right?
And there's a lot of different things involved. Long-term care policies that people have, that's counted a certain way depending upon if they're using the long-term care policy or not, depending upon life insurance policies, cash values of life insurance policies, their home, depending upon their home, if they have a mortgage on their home, if it's paid off. There's certain ways to handle a home also, even though the VA says you can own a home, and you can own life insurance, you can own a car, but depending upon when you're going to either sell those items, depending upon when you're applying, that all comes into play with the planning aspect of it.
So those things aren't actual questions on the application, are they? About when you're planning to use these, and do you have
Not
this
at all.
specifically?
Not at all.
Right.
And here's the other issue about why you would want to see an elder law attorney, as opposed to, again, there are financial planners out there that offer, we will help you plan and qualify you for VA benefits and do your application for you. The problem with going to those kind of individuals is that what they fail to do for people is protect them from Medicaid benefits. And Medicaid benefits in the state of Florida are very significant, especially if somebody ultimately ends up in a nursing home. I know that we've talked about Medicaid benefits before, but there are two different programs for Medicaid. They help out either when somebody's at home or an assisted living facility, or the most financially significant one is if somebody enters into a nursing home, Medicaid will pick up the entire cost of that nursing home, minus somebody's income, minus $105 that a person's allowed to keep. If you do VA planning with somebody who is not an elder law attorney, who does not know the rules and regulations of Medicaid, what can happen is in the future you could really mess yourself up for Medicaid and really lose a lot of dollars. I've seen it happen many times. I've had people come to my office after seeing a financial planner who has done planning for them, done the VA, got them VA benefits,
right?
Which was great because they got them the $1,149 or the $1,700. But within a 5-year period, that person now needed to go into a nursing home. Well, because of the gifting or what they did, the planning that they did, where they did not include Medicaid planning, those individuals were now no longer eligible for Medicaid. And they are now private paying for nursing home. Yeah, they're getting $1,700 or $1,788 from the VA to help pay for that.
But a nursing home is costing you close to $10,000 a month.
Whereas if they had planned for VA and Medicaid, which is what we do, then when they transferred into that nursing home, we would have flipped the switch and done the Medicaid portion of it, and now they qualify for the better program, which is Medicaid. Medicaid is a better program for somebody in a nursing home. There's no questions about it. So that's why it's so important to go to somebody who is both knowledgeable on VA and Medicaid. And just on the flip side, there are a lot of elder law attorneys that are very knowledgeable on Medicaid, but they leave the VA benefits on the table. I see that happen a lot. We just had a call today with somebody who had an elder law attorney plan for them 3 years ago. Mother is 94 years old. She's been in an assisted living facility. They're still on the wait list for Medicaid diversion. However, the elder law attorney did not do any VA benefits. So that elder law attorney left literally, $13,000-$14,000 on the table for that mother every year for the last 3 years.
So it's important because it sounds like you all coordinate, this. So, an elder law attorney that's also accredited by the VA has the expertise to coordinate both of those government benefits
Right.
to help someone down the road when they really need the help. And I know that a lot of people that are getting the aid and attendance, it can help them stay longer in an assisted living.
Absolutely.
And that's wonderful too, because that's another way that they don't have to go to a nursing home. Because I think, if we all had our druthers, we would not prefer to go to a
Absolutely.
nursing home, and we would like to stay in a home-like environment, in assisted living, home-like like Arden Courts, or for memory care. But it's real important because, when you get to that point where someone gets so sick that they no longer qualify to stay in an assisted living by the rules and regulations set up by the state of Florida of who's eligible and who's qualified and still appropriate to stay in an assisted living, sometimes, by necessity, they do have to move on over to a nursing home in some cases. Now, a lot of cases, they can stay,
Right.
but there are some times where they have to go, and it's either for a financial reason or a medical reason. And so what you're saying is if they go and they haven't planned for it and they spend all their money, then they're going to be up a creek because they haven't planned for this event in their life.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, and basically, when we look at clients, we look at the whole entire picture. We want to look at them. What kind of benefits can we get them? Obviously, the best result is having somebody that's in an assisted living facility, getting them their VA benefits to help pay for the room and board portion, because Medicaid only pays for the service portion, and then also getting Medicaid to pay for the service portion. Between those two government benefits and somebody's Social Security, usually that can cover the entire cost of an assisted living facility. So if you're not going to an elder law attorney who knows both VA and Medicaid, or you're heading to these financial planners that only do VA planning, you are leaving, like I said, a lot of money on the table that can help you stay in your assisted living facility longer and also provide you a bigger nest egg to give you even better care while you're there.
Right. That's so important. So I have one other important question that I know. Now, this is something that a lot of people, they ask about and they hear. But the VA does not permit anyone to charge for the filing of a application for VA benefits. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if someone is not allowed to charge to file, so how do you get paid if they come to you as an accredited VA officer or elder law attorney if you're not allowed to charge them to file?
We don't charge for actually preparing or filing the application. What we charge for is the planning process. And again, the planning includes both VA and Medicaid. So that's how we're able to charge, and that's how financial planners are able to charge, and that's how most people. Now, if you are already qualify, I mean, if you're already spending most of your money on unreimbursed medical expenses, you have very little assets, you can definitely go to some of these VSO places or to the library and have them complete your
If
application.
it's like a slam dunk kind
If
of
it's
a
a
thing.
slam dunk,
Right. Mom
yes,
has
absolutely.
nothing, low income,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hardly
Paying,
any
you
Social
know.
Security, $700 a month, and
Right.
doesn't own, doesn't have
Has
anything
nothing.
in the bank. So it's like you said, that's a slam dunk.
Absolutely.
And that you don't have a lot of planning to do that.
And can I just say one other thing about the qualifications real quick? I know a lot of people have heard about this $80,000 for assets.
Yeah.
Oh, I heard you have to have below $80,000. I just want to make that really clear. The $80,000 is yes, but it's not a bright line test. It's not like Medicaid. Medicaid has a bright line test of how much money you can have, and that's it. VA is very different. VA says if you're under $80,000, we'll look at your application, but that doesn't necessarily mean that if you have over $80,000, they won't look. But they take your life expectancy. So a younger veteran can have more in assets than an older veteran. And they take what they believe, and it's very subjective based on your caseworker, is your monthly requirements, your monthly financial requirements, and then they determine whether or not you have enough assets to outlive your life expectancy. If you do, denied. If you don't, then they're going to approve.
Wow.
So a lot of people hear, 80,000, 80,000.
Right.
Again, right now, the VA has no bright line test. They are trying to implement new rules that are not in the greatest interest of the veterans. And as elder law attorneys, we have voiced our comments about that, but they are trying to implement some new rules that might make it a lot more difficult.
Wow. So, see, a lot to know. We're going to take our last commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Take a pen and jot down this information. Right from the Heart assists families in finding the right living arrangements for their aging parents. Founded in 2012 by Sharon Agate, Senior Lifestyle Consultant, Sharon has counseled seniors and their families for over 20 years in clinical settings and in independent assisted living and memory care communities. Finding the right community can be overwhelming and time-consuming. Right from the Heart takes the stress and worry from you. Sharon will meet with mom or dad and evaluate their needs and lifestyle preferences and create a personalized plan at no cost to you. She will accompany you to visit selected communities and guide you every step of the way so you can be assured you're making a well-informed decision. Call Sharon at 561-374-4696. Sharon's promise to you is in your knowing that her advice will always come right from the heart. Do you need the advice of an elder law attorney but perhaps find it difficult or overwhelming getting to appointments? The solution is the Elder Law Department. They bring elder law to you by meeting with you in the comfort of your own surroundings to discuss your personal situation and family needs. In practice since 1994, Heidi Friedman is a member of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar. She and her team help families with issues that include incapacity and estate planning, asset preservation, veterans benefits, and other legal issues that seniors may face. Call the Elder Law Department at 954-383-1143. 954-383-1143. They bring elder law to you. Make First Choice your first choice for home health care. First Choice is state certified for Medicare covered services such as medical treatment and rehabilitation. Qualified healthcare professionals come to your home and work closely with your doctor to build a care plan designed to get you back on your feet as soon as possible. Founded and operated by registered nurses, First Choice Home Health is dedicated to providing exceptional home health care. Their highly skilled medical professionals have the knowledge and ability to provide patients quality care. Call First Choice Home Health at 561-296-2770. That's 561-296-2770. And tell them you want them as your first choice. Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on CareGiverSolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Hi, we're back with Paul Solomon and Heidi Friedman from the Elder Law Department, and we've been talking about veterans benefits and everything you need to know about applying for aid and attendance and getting everything that you need for your loved one that qualifies. Thank you so much for all this great information. It's just sometimes overwhelming to hear this, and that's why we wanted to bring it to the show today. to try to untangle some of the myths and the untruths about what people do here. And I know that people probably have a lot of questions after they've heard you talk about the different do's and don'ts. So if someone wanted to reach out to you, have a question, contact you, how would they do that?
Our phone number is 954-383-1143. Again, 954-383-1143. Or if you can get on the internet, our website is www.elderlawdepartment, spelled out, .com. ELDERLAWDEPARTMENT.com.
Great. And if someone had a few questions and they wanted to let you know that they heard about you on the show, they watched, they listened on the radio, and they just had some questions, do they have to pay for that up front if they have questions, or is it something that you can just sort of give them an overview? How do you work that?
Actually, if they call our office and tell us that they were referred by you or they heard us on the radio, we offer a free consultation.
Wow, that is so nice
Yes.
and so generous. So you see there, it pays to watch, it pays to listen to Caregiver Solutions. So call them at the Elder Law Department, ask questions, set up an appointment, and one other wonderful thing about what they do, if you can't get to them, they come to you.
We travel. We travel every day. We're traveling to the families, whether in the assisted living, nursing homes. We just like to make it as comfortable as possible because it's, again, a trying time. So let's make it easy for them, and that's what we do.
I think that's wonderful. That's so great. Well, thank you again for coming today and sharing your expertise on Caregiver Solutions Info. And I wanted to remind everyone out there about the Staying Afloat in a Sea of Forgetfulness. This book is actually brought to you by Ardencourt's Memory Care Community. If you would like a free copy mailed to you, just call the 888-478-2410. That's Ardencourt's. That's our national hotline number. They'll be happy to take your information and get this out to you. They answer the phone Eastern Time from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. at night and on weekends, 365 days a year, because caregiving doesn't stop. So give them a call. Tell them that you'd like this book. Tell them that you'd like to find out more about the respite stays. And also tune in next week, either on WNN 1470 AM or watch us live at caregiversolutions.info right on your computer. So until next week, then don't forget, give someone a hug. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more Caregiver Solutions.